Daampatya, its ethics and their violation. Modern thinking treats the institution of marriage as a contract between man and woman, the breach of trust between husband and wife, constituting adultery, has been a matter of heated discussion in our country at times. While we do not intend to enter into a discussion on the merits or otherwise of this controversy, we do believe that a review of the spirit of Daampatya, the institution of marriage or wedlock, in Bharatiya civilization and culture will be in order. In our culture, the institution of marriage is not a contract, but a bond that follows the footprint of nature. The mantras uttered during Vivaha or the marriage ceremony proclaim the bond between husband and wife to be akin to that between heaven and earth, or thought and word. The dark clouds of the yonder heavens pour copiously onto earth to nourish the germinating seed, while the light and heat of the heavenly sun sustains life on this earth. For whose benefit is this? Heaven's or earth's? Actually neither. They are both upholders of the sacred order of nature, ensuring that the cycles of rain and sunshine continue uninterruptedly. They are selfless forces that ensure that flora and fauna, in fact all life on earth, perpetuate themselves, grow and glow in consonance with the scheme of Mother Nature. Speech expresses thought. The rise of thought and the consequent speech are but instruments that serve the well-being of the individual. In like manner, Vivaha or Daampatya is not just a license for the gratification of the senses. It's a solemn responsibility to implement the bidding of the divine couple, Lakshmi Narayana or Parvati Parameshwara, who are verily the fount of the forces of nature. The Bharatiyas thought of Daampatya as a yajna, to bring forth progeny endowed with Atma Gunas, who would in turn continue the virtuous cycle. One may despair, these Indians have turned the romantic relationship of marriage into a dry ritual of perpetuation. But not so. The very Vivaha mantras that talk of the simile of heaven and earth also sing ever so gently the sweet and loaded conversation between husband and wife. May your heart be mine, let my heart be thine. Ruru, who gave up half his lifespan in order to bring back his betrothed, Pramadvara, back to life, was a son of a Rishi too. The self-realized Kardama Prajapati, it is said, spent several years in enjoyment of the scenic mountain slopes and verdant forests with his consort Devahuti before the master yogi Kapila was born to them. Vasishtha and Arundhati, Atri Anasuya, Kashyapa and Aditi, and countless other enlightened rishis were householders who brought forth scores of children excelling in ascesis or the practice of self-discipline. Thus the rishis of Bharata were just as well masters of bhoga or sense enjoyment as they were of restraint and yoga. Now, since the bonds of Daampatya are a yajna in service of Mother Nature and the forces thereof, its breach too is to be resolved in the court of nature or Srishti and the creator or Srishtikarta. In Kannada, shikshe is the word used for punishment, which is interestingly synonymous with education. The corresponding term in Sanskrita and many other Indic languages is danda, which is synonymous with restraint, backbone that houses the inner workings of yoga, a king's scepter or a staff used by hermits as a symbol of yogic accomplishment, or Brahmadanda. That this is so is no coincidence, but it was rather the intent. Unlike the word punish, which has overtones of inflicting injury and retribution, the Bharatiya words have strong overtones of education, restraint, penance and control of mind, because that indeed was their concept of punishment. Re-education, corrective action by restraint of the mind, and penance. And that is why Ahalya's punishment was penance and asceticism while remaining unseen by the world. The prescription for her transgression was an apparent bane that would in time come to bestow a boon. The darshana of Sri Rama, loss of sensual attachments, restoration of her purity, and reunion with Rishi Gautama. It's also to be noted here that Indra, who was an equal partner in the transgress, is rendered impotent. While the prescription was different for each offender, the outcomes intended were the same: resumption of control over senses. There is no mention here of courts or jails, and not even a hint of marriage registrations or divorce. In Bharatiya culture, the bonds of Daampatya are strong and inviolable. They are also equally deep and subtle. It is said that Padmavati, the consort of the devout poet Jayadeva, swooned and passed away when she heard the false news of the death of her husband. She was subsequently brought back to life with the mellifluous notes of Jayadeva's songs in praise of the Lord. What do we call such exalted souls? Romantic couple or devotees of the highest order? That they could, as a civilization, achieve at once sense gratification that calls for indulging the senses, and penance of the highest order by denying the senses, will count as one of the most astonishing and unparalleled achievements of the Bharatiyas.